It's a nice, cool, I don't know, 55, 60 degrees in Salt Lake today. And now that we're in the middle of October, it's only supposed to finally start getting colder. So I think it's safe to actually make my seasonal transition. So I'm going to walk you guys through that. I'm walking out to the car so I can grab my tripod, and then we'll get it set up, and I'll show you what I do for seasonal storage, basically kind of what my seasonal items are, how I keep them stored, because I do treat different items differently, what I keep out as a backup, and what I end up pulling out for fall and winter. So we'll walk through it and see how that goes. So it is starting to rain now, so I'm going to turn off and I will see you inside. Okay, so I already grabbed my winter suits out, which I keep hung up, but I grabbed them out a couple weeks ago so I could start to wear them and start to air them out. And then I grabbed this for all my other winter stuff. That was hanging out in there. What are you doing in my winter stuff? Okay, so let's start with suits. Obviously, this is where I invest the most of my money, and so these are the garments that I want to take the most care of. And so let me show you how I do this. First thing I do is, the way that I kind of have my closet organized is I have stuff that I really can only wear as a full suit, and so I hang them up together. And then I have other things that I can split up as separates, like this suit, for example. I can wear the jacket with a bunch of other jackets. I can mix and match the trousers as I want to. And so I will hang these up separately. What's nice about these is, for example, like these guys that have this nice little trouser hanger. It's rough, and so it helps them keep their position. And then the whole reason that I have my closet organized this way is because then if I want to split stuff up, I'm visually capable of doing that, because I can just kind of hang things up and see how they look together. For storage, there's no reason for me to do that. I just will put as many things together as I absolutely can. Let me show you one thing with jacket hangers really quickly though. Whether you're doing it for storage or you've just got it in your regular closet, use a hanger that's got a big wooden base like this. This broader base down here is excellent for the shoulders, because even if you're wearing a jacket that has unstructured shoulders, the whole purpose of the base is to give it enough room on there so that it doesn't start to stretch and wear out, and it doesn't lie in a different way than you want it to. I've got a little snag, I'm gonna have to clean that up. So basically I'm gonna take up as little space as possible. So I'm gonna, I don't know, hang these up together, hang up that pair of trousers with its jacket, do these two together. So I'll swap these out for hangers that actually have the base that work, because these I don't have anywhere for trousers on them. I have a couple of things on here, in here, that technically are made for summer. Like this suit has been great so far this year, but I can get a little bit more life out of it. I don't want to wear it in the dead of winter, but just because of the coloring, I can get it still as a solid fall. Same thing with this nice little wine colored jacket. And so I'm not going to put these away yet. I will do those at a later date, but let's start with that, and then I can make some room to get some of this winter stuff in here. All right, so 1, 2, and 3. Takes up a whole lot less space when you put everything together. And then I'm going to hang them up in these garment bags. Obviously, a little pitch for Beckett and Rob. Hey, not only do we get the awesome wooden hangers, but when you buy a suit, you also get this cool little canvas bag for it. Ideal for travel, and it's also great for I was gonna start over, but no editing. My wife's distracting me. It's also ideal for storage. So I just put 2 of these in a bag together. Any more and it can start to get a little crowded in there. And then you start to get issues with pressing and wrinkles and all these other variables that they're not the end of the world, but they're kind of a pain to deal with. While I'm getting this all hung up, I'll tell you that even as careful as I try to be, most of the time when I have stuff that comes out of storage, I have to deal with some pressing and some steaming. And you want to be careful with that, because you take it to a dry cleaner that either doesn't know what they're doing, or they do, but they just don't really care that much, because it's one suit in 1,000 that they have to deal with that day, and the vast majority of them that they deal with are cheap. Then they will take this awesome 3-dimensional garment that's been shaped for you, and they will press the crap out of it until it just becomes this 2D flat abomination that used to be an awesome suit. And so it doesn't do it loses a lot of the life, and especially if you're using nicer materials, mother of pearl buttons for your summer stuff, or more delicate fabrics, then it can do permanent damage to things as well. So I've got 2 Pursuit in here, and then I'm going to put these back here in the back of the closet where they're always hung up, which is great because then it doesn't create any excess wrinkling. And then if I need to go somewhere that's going to be a little bit more more weather friendly, even though I'm in the middle of winter here, then I still have easier access than having to go all the way down to going all the way out to my storage shed or out to the garage or anything to pick stuff up. So let's get this one in here too.
Yeah, get it.
Okay, so that's pretty much it for suits. So, next is shirts. If you have purchased the staples, then you are aware that one of them is a summer weight button-up. And I do these with casual shirts, and then I also recommend these even for dress shirts as well. Linen, really lightweight cottons, Madras plaids, those different weaves and weights and all of that are great for summer, and they're not so great for winter. My wardrobe is kind of scant with those, so I'm just going to put away these 3, and what I'm going to do with these is fold them up and put them in the suitcase that currently has all my other stuff. I'm not worried about shirts as far as they're sitting in the same position for a few months, because really I just take them out. I have my wife press them for me, and we're good to roll. So hard to screw this one up. Next are pants and shorts. There's some purists who argue that, or the opposite of purists, there are a lot of guys who argue that the white after Labor Day rule is kind of silly. That's fine, I don't really care, but I personally don't like to wear that stuff after. I was just going to throw these into storage, but I can tell that they need to be washed, so those are going to go in the laundry first and then into storage. Shorts, those are as good as gone for the season. And then with my chinos, if you have anything that's a lighter weight that's ideal for summer, then you want to take those out. And then same thing with lighter washes of jeans. Just get rid of those. Again, a lot of guys will argue that these work year round, and I'm not going to be a stickler if you lean that way. I mean, the rules are kind of meant to be broken, but I don't personally lean that way. I like to keep things a little bit more seasonal. So these are going to go, actually, you know what? I'm going to push myself a little bit on these. I'm going to keep these out for another month or so. I won't wear them in the dead of winter, but I think I'm going to get a little bit more life out of them. So those go back in the closet. And then last but not least, shoes. I already put these away a few weeks ago, but I will show you. For me, I just like to keep these under my bed. I've got room under there, and basically things like drivers, or anything else that really leans more seasonal, your espadrilles, your boat shoes, things like these loafers. Now with these are a little bit nicer, and so when you're doing storage, it doesn't matter if it's summer or winter stuff. You want to, if you invest the time in your shoes or invest money in your shoes, and keep the boxes that they come in, and then store them in their shoe bags. It just, again, you don't want to have to deal with moths or bugs or dust or anything else, and it's not that big of a deal to put it in there. It doesn't take that much longer, and so keep them in the shoe bags. If you've got extra shoe trees, then even store them with the shoe trees in them. Otherwise, you just want to rotate and put other things like tissue paper or newspaper or anything that will fit in there and help them keep their shape. And then, yeah, like I said, I just keep these under my bed. One of the things that's nice for me is, I mean, I don't travel a ton, but sometimes I do, and I travel into less climate extreme environments, and so sometimes I want to have quick access to this stuff for when I'm going somewhere else, and so it's nice that I have it all here and still easily accessible just because of the way I've got my room and my closet organized. So, shoes. Another thing that's great about doing this seasonal rotation through your closet is it kind of forces you to do an inventory on what you have and on what you don't have. For example, this is a leather jacket that I got off of Craigslist, and I paid, I think, 30 bucks for it when I bought a motorcycle about 4 years ago. And It's never looked like I want it to. It doesn't really have the style that I want it to, and I haven't worn it in 2 years. So I'm gonna list this thing for sale. Shirts that I don't really ever wear anymore. This thing ended up being way too big, and this guy ended up being way too small. And so usually what I do with these is anytime that I have extra stuff, I will let my my brothers and then my brothers-in-law kind of go through, and anything that I have extra that they want, they can take, and anything that they have left over, I'll just donate. I'll give it to like Goodwill. And then this, I didn't even realize that I had this thing in here. This belongs to my friend Joe, who I don't see very often. When I do, he always comes into the shop because he gets his haircut right next door. I think I've had this for 4 years, and I should probably give it back. So I am going to keep this in the shop. So Joe, next time you come get your haircut, come get this from me so that I don't have your leather jacket anymore. But the whole point is that it's great to see what you have that you don't wear anymore, and you get rid of it, and you kind of do this cleaning aspect of getting rid of things that you don't wear anymore. But then the other thing that's great is it also gives you an opportunity to see what you don't have and you do need. As we go through and I show you kind of what I'll be pulling out, I don't have any winter weight button-up shirts anymore because as I was doing this in the spring, I got rid of all of mine that I had before. The ones that I had from Frank & Oak were great, but they ended up shrinking significantly, and they were way too short in the body. The sleeves ended at about right here. And so now I need to get a different size and kind of re-up that. And so I will go through and I'll actually make a list of different things that I need in my closet that I know are holes that I can fill. And this gives me the time and kind of the mental warm-up so that I'm there and I'm at that point. And then I'm not as likely to miss or forget anything. So great time to do an inventory on what you have that you don't need or what you need that you don't have. So other than my suits that I'm hanging up and the shoes that I've already put away, this is the limited stuff that I'm actually putting into my suitcase into storage. One thing that you'll realize is I actually don't have a whole lot of stuff. And a lot of this stuff I've had for a really long time. I don't spend a lot of money on clothes over the years because I'd rather buy fewer and buy higher quality pieces. And so what I really hope to educate a lot of guys on, not necessarily with this video, but a lot with the site, is the value in buying fewer but better and more versatile items, because it can make it seem like you have a much more robust wardrobe than you actually do, and really much more than you ever really need. And so we will get this stuff put away, and then I'll pull out all the piles of the winter stuff we've got going. And then this is basically everything that I have to get out. So Chelsea boots, which some would argue are year-round. That's fine. I may start wearing them year-round, but I currently don't. My dress boots, cardigans and more casual sweatshirts, V-necks and more dressed sweatshirts, and then thermal Henleys. Like I said, when I now go and I fill this hole in my wardrobe of having some winter weight button-ups, those will be in there. I have a lot more winter stuff than I do summer stuff, and the biggest reason for that is just because you wear more stuff in the winter than you do in the summer. You layer more, you have more, but again, this is not an excessive amount of stuff, especially that it's been accumulated over the last, 4 or 5 years. And so you end up spending, I don't know, a couple $100 every season, and you do that for a while, and you can build yourself a pretty robust wardrobe without having to break the bank. And you just buy a lot of timeless pieces, a lot of staples. You buy them in colors that work with your coloring and work with each other, and it's really easy to mix and match and just make things work out. So all in all, I mean, this has taken me the last hour and a half because of filming, but for the most part, when you're doing this yourself, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes to get things switched in and out of storage. You take that inventory, and it's maybe another 20 minutes on top of that just to make that mental list and get things written down. You do that once every 6 months when you're kind of in the middle of fall and you're in the middle of spring. And it's that deliberate, intentional approach to having a very versatile, very well-established wardrobe that communicates what you want it to communicate. It's very, very indicative of the fact that you put time into this, but not a ton of time. And then again, it's like passive income. You put in this little bit of effort now to keep things on maintenance mode. You touch up what you need to touch up, and then the rest of it, you just let it slide. I don't have to think about this stuff when I get dressed because I know that all of these things, they work together. And it's really great that it ends up working out that way, and I can experiment with different things, and I don't know. It's just easy at this point, and just like anything else, you put in the initial effort at first, and then you go into maintenance mode, and it makes your life significantly easier. So That's a wrap on this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button below. Do not forget to subscribe, and we will do more in the future.